And that sounds like, okay, well, what's the difference? When you look at a person, you see, what you actually are perceiving is what's on the surface. You just look at them. But when you see a person, you see who they are. For instance, my all caps someone. He is a really good looking man. He's really, really, really good looking. But more importantly, he is a good man. He is a wonderful friend. He is someone who constantly makes me reevaluate things in my life. And you know, and it's not in this, like, look at it this way sort of thing, you know, not in a very forceful way, but it's sort of this, like, did you ever think of ... question mark? And, you know, he is so smart, and he is so funny, and he is so sweet. This is a little off topic, but he went to a store yesterday with all these, like, crazy awesome books. And that was my favorite thing when I could still see, was I loved reading books. So he's telling me all these books in this bookstore, and I'm like drooling because like, wow, that's really cool. And we're sitting there talking about how cool it would be to have, like, an old books collection, and I said, yeah, I'd like to have a collection of old books. And I was like, yeah, me too. And he kind of, this was before the lottery comment, by the way. He kind of went, really? And I was like, yeah, you know, just to have them and just smell them. But, you know, because I don't know, it's cool. Anyways, but we're having this conversation about books and all that, and so he's going through, and he, like, picked out, I think, like 10 different books on history and archaeology and stuff like that, and he's like, I can't afford all these books, and he's sitting there with, like, this pile of books and trying to figure out which ones he wants. And I'm like laughing, and I remember being like that, you know, oh, I only have enough money for, you know, my parents had only given me enough money for, like, 2 books, and I've got a pile of 10 that I want to read. And I remember that. And I told him, I went on and I said, and now I have a similar problem with my Audible subscription. Like, I get 1 credit a month, and I go, but I have, like, 5 books that I want to read. You know, and some months I go, I don't know what I'm gonna get, you know. But then I start browsing, and then I'm like, oh, I want that, I want that, I want that, I want that. And he kind of pauses, he goes, you've got a birthday coming up, right? And I'm just going, you're so adorable. Yes, it's on Sunday. And he goes, huh. So I think he's trying to figure out if he can do something. But, yeah. So, anyways, blessed with blindishness. You know, I even though I can vaguely tell if someone is attractive on the outside, what always resonates with me is whether or not they're attractive on the inside. Like, who they are as a person. And I don't mean this in a romantic or sexual way so much as I mean in a platonic way. But I don't look at people anymore. I see them, and that, I think, is the greatest blessing of all. I mean, there's a lot of other things that have come out of losing my vision. Most recently, here in the past 18 months, I started working at a place specifically for blind people to work at. I know, bad grammar. And so all my coworkers, except for my supervisor, are blind or blind-ish. And so it's really nice to have these people that not only relate to my situation, my lot in life, but they're just wonderful people to begin with. We had a really funny conversation yesterday that I can't repeat on on this show. Well, I mean, I can, but I don't have time. And so I'm grateful. I wouldn't have met the people that I've met. I wouldn't have done the things that I've done. I wouldn't be the person I am if I'd kept my vision. And maybe as technology evolves and stuff, that presents different barriers for me. And maybe getting... There's a lot I can complain about with my disability. Like to get a decent job. When you have a vision impairment, you have to have more than one piece of paper essentially saying, hey, I have a brain in my skull. Because I can walk in to an office and apply for a receptionist job and say, look, I know how to answer phones. I know how to work with Microsoft Office, but they're not going to believe me unless and until I have a piece of paper certifying that I know how to answer phones and work with Microsoft Office. But you know what? That problem is nothing compared to this shift in perspective that losing my vision has given me. This ability that I have to just see things differently. Metaphorically speaking, literally and metaphorically. I see things differently. And I wouldn't change it for the world at this point. So, like I said, I'm running low on time. So, I started the show later than I should have done, and I knew. But, let me get into the things for which I'm grateful. So stupid. Number one, talking about this and remembering and reminiscing about how I lost my vision. Number one, today, I am so grateful to be alive. That tumor could have, and in many ways should have, killed me. And if that didn't kill me, the problems that came after it should have killed me. Because I for a very long time, and even to a certain extent now, had and have horrible migraines. I mean, so horrible. Tylenol doesn't work. Ibuprofen barely works. I mean, over-the-counter remedies do not work for me. They sometimes get so bad that the only thing that would make the pain go away, literally, was Vicodin or Percocet, opioid painkillers. And I did develop an addiction for a short period of time. That's a topic for another show. But I could have died from that. And that can be traced back to having this tumor. I've been hit by a car. Not a car. I've been hit by a moving vehicle twice. One was a kind of medium-sized SUV, not a huge SUV. And the other one was a pretty big truck. Should have been killed. So I'm very grateful today to be alive. I really am. Number two, I am grateful for someone. I don't know what we are. He's more than a friend to me, but I think I've been friend zoned it. I don't know what's going on with this actual relationship title. But I call him my all caps someone. I'm grateful for him. I really am. I'm grateful that he sees me as a human being and not a human being that has a disability or a disabled human being, or less than in some ways. I'm grateful that he sees my facial paralysis. I mean, when we first started talking, I told him how insecure I am about that facial paralysis. And he goes, that's just part of who you are. And who you are is pretty fucking awesome. And who you are is pretty fucking gorgeous. Well, that's not exactly what he said, but that's what he said in my mind. And, so I'm grateful for him. I'm grateful that he's a part of my life. And he's a part of my life that makes me smile. Stupidly sometimes. And number 3, I am grateful for weird pizza orders. Actually, specifically, I'm grateful for my weird pizza order. Somebody asked me, I'm about to start drooling over this. Somebody asked me one time what my favorite pizza is. And I, dead serious, I said, look, this is going to sound really weird, but it is amazing. Pepperoni, pineapple, I know, and green olives. I know. It was really good. And I know the whole pineapple on pizza is like a very divisive thing. I like it. If you don't like it, I get it, but I like it. And, but yeah, there's something about that kind of pizza. Pepperoni, pineapple, and green olives. That's just like, yum. I could eat that shit all day. And it always freaks out, like, the pizza delivery people, because they go, I have a large pepperoni, pineapple, and green olives. And, like, they're always kind of like, oh, okay, whatever works for you, you know, and they're never, like, judgy about it, but they're always kind of thrown off by the order. But it is really good, and like I said, I'm drooling right now. So, I'm grateful for that. So, if you would like to contact me anywhere on the internet, what you need to be looking for is PurpleBecca923. That's PurpleBecca 923. That is my username on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat. With regards to Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat, I always follow back. Might take me a while, but I will follow back. Unless and until you send me something inappropriate, in which case you will be dealt with accordingly. Thankfully, that's sort of tapered off quite a bit. Especially since I've been saying that. PurpleBecca923 at gmail.com is the email address, and PurpleBecca923.com is the website. So, like I did on Monday's show, I want to give a shout out to another podcast that I really like. I'm starting to realize like how rinky-dink my podcast is because I started listening to a bunch of other podcasts. But you know what? It makes me feel good and it makes me laugh. So, but I started listening to the MC Lars podcast. I love MC Lars. I love his music. I actually got to meet him back in 2009. He is an amazing human being. He is so fun to be around. But yeah, he just started a podcast 2 weeks ago. He's got 3 episodes. Well, he did a podcast back about like 10 years ago, I guess it was, and had to let it go. But he's brought it back, and he's starting out with some interviews with some of his fellow indie hip-hop friend people, starting with MC Frontalot and Schaefer the Dark Lord. And I haven't listened to a lot of their music, but now hearing those interviews, I'm like, I should listen to more of them. They're pretty cool. They're pretty messed up, but they're pretty cool. But I mean, you know, like all artists are a little bit messed up. So go check out that MC Lars podcast. It's available on iTunes,